Hi there, my name is Henry Melhorn, and today I'd like for you to pose yourself the question, why should you build a PC instead of buying a console? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about for you today. So, how many people in the room play video games? A good amount. Well, today I'm here to tell you why it is, overall, objectively better to build your own PC as opposed to purchasing the latest, greatest console, such as the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. So, to begin, building a PC is more cost-effective. Now, I know a lot of you might be saying, I don't know what you're talking about, PCs are way more expensive than consoles. Well, actually, nowadays, building your own PC is more cost-effective than purchasing the newest gaming console. This is because gaming hardware has struggled to maintain competitivity with the PC market, and as a result, PC parts are overall cheaper to put together than it is to buy a gaming console. Now, to look at it this way, every 3-4 years or so, there is a new console that is released, the latest being the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. So every 3-4 years, you spend about $500 to buy the newest gaming console to be able to play games with your friends. Now, the flip side of this is if you build your own PC, instead of having to build a completely new PC every 3 or 4 years, you only have to upgrade individual parts. So for example, say 3 years down the road after building your PC, you find that you might want to run games at a bit beefier graphics settings. Well, instead of having to buy a whole new PC, you simply can switch out your graphics processor for a newer and better one, which in the long run, just buying individual parts like this is much cheaper and cost-effective than purchasing an entire new console every 3 or 4 years. Furthermore, you can actually build a more powerful PC for less than the price of a console. So people have actually put together PC builds that come out to about $375, and they leave the consoles in the dust in terms of their performance with games. So as far as costs, there really is no reason that you shouldn't build or purchase your own PC as opposed to a console. Alright, moving on. Self-built PCs are more powerful. So gaming consoles, as I mentioned before, are struggling to maintain competition within the PC market in terms of hardware. So PC hardware is progressing technologically at such a high rate that gaming consoles are struggling to incorporate their hardware into their all-in-one builds while still maintaining a cheap price. This is because the rate at which the PC market is developing is much faster than the rate at which the console market is in terms of its hardware. Furthermore, most PS4 and Xbox One games are locked to 30 FPS, which stands for frames per second. This basically means that the games that run on those consoles can only display 30 frames per second. And despite their claims, they cannot run native 4K resolution. Essentially, what consoles say, when they say that they can run 4K resolution, what they essentially mean is that they can run a lower than 4K resolution and super sample it in order to make it appear to be 4K. However, they cannot break 30 frames per second, whereas PC and computers in general can run games at a much higher frames per second. In addition, PCs are capable of running the top-of-the-line virtual reality head-mounted displays, such as the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift. These are two extremely powerful, difficult-to-run head-mounted displays that put you in the gaming world. And at this point in time, there are no consoles that are capable of running those top-of-the-line head-mounted displays, simply because they do require a certain amount of graphic and processing power. All right. So continuing along, PCs also allow for more player choice. Now this is a huge selling point for PCs in my opinion. So how much money one wants to invest in their computer is up to them. You can spend $500 and have a very solid PC. You can spend $800 and have a great computer that will run just about all modern games at their maximum settings. Or you can spend $1,200 and have a top-of-the-line graphics card, a top-of-the-line processor, and an overall very powerful PC. So it's completely up to you how much money you want to invest in your PC based on which parts you choose. Whereas when it comes to consoles, there's really only one choice. There's only one PlayStation 4. There's only one Xbox One. There aren't different tiers of them in terms of power. Whereas the PC market has tons of different price points for all types of hardware, and you can enter the PC market at any level you wish to choose. In addition to all of that, there's choice in what resolution you want to play your games in, or how high a refresh rate you want your monitor to support. So for example, I've listed a few examples here. You could build a PC rig that was capable of running 1080p at 144 Hertz, or 1440p at 60 Hertz, or 4K, which is the highest available resolution currently, at 30 Hertz. Basically what these are the resolutions, which is the pixel density on your screen, and the refresh rate, which is how often the screen refreshes per second. With consoles, you are absolutely limited to 1080p, or now what they're offering, an super sampled 4K. However, they are all locked at 30 frames per second, so they do not allow you to have that choice in terms of how you want your games to be played. Furthermore, PC, of course, supports keyboard and mouse, but on top of that, you can plug in a PlayStation 4 or Xbox controller or any other gamepad into your USB ports, as well as HOTAS, which is hands-on throttle and stick for flight simulators. Essentially what I'm getting to is the fact that this PC supports tons of different controller layouts and types, so you can play your games the way you want to play them. You cannot plug a keyboard and mouse into a console and expect it to work correctly, or a hands-on throttle and stick. Any peripherals that you think you would need for your games, you are able to purchase for your PC, and it will support it. Also, major digital distributors such as Steam or Origin have tons of sales all year round. They just had a Thanksgiving sale on Steam, which was a week long, with deals changing every single day of the week. There is a 2-week-long Christmas sale coming up for the holidays. And all throughout the year, there are tons of awesome deals that can save you a ton of money on games, which are everywhere on these online distributors. However, it's much more difficult to come by as far as console games go. In addition to all of this, PC games include mod support, which essentially means that once you've played your game, you can further modify it to your tastes by downloading mods, which are created by the community. Consoles, as opposed to consoles where you have the vanilla game is essentially the only way that you can play the game. You cannot download texture packs. You cannot download certain add-ons that add new features to the game. So mod support is huge in that it can extend the longevity of a game's community and your interest in it. My last point is huge, which it's a huge point for the PC platform as a whole. Computers are one platform, and that means that there is no dividing the player base. So when you have to choose between buying a PlayStation 4 or buying an Xbox One, it comes down to, usually for many people, which console has more of do their friends have, so that they can play with them. So in other words, Xbox One players can only play with other Xbox One players. PlayStation 4 players can only play with other PlayStation 4 players. PC players can play with PC players. There is no division in the player base. It is unified. All PC games are available for all PCs. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are able to run the games, but they are available to all PCs. So I think that's a huge point in attracting a large unified playing base, in that if you have a computer and your friend has a computer, you will be able to play it together, which is huge. Moving right along, building a PC is now easier now more than ever. There are a plethora of online resources and communities to to assist one in choosing parts and hardware. A notable website that I actually used in the building of my own PC is www.pcpartpicker.com. This is an amazing website where you can create an account and essentially start a build on it. So what you can do is you can pick your case, your GPU, your CPU, your power supply, your memory. You can pick all these parts that you want, and it will display each of these individual parts that you choose. It will display the lowest price available and it's grabbing prices from all online retailers, so it will give you the lowest possible price that you can find on the internet. And furthermore, once you've chosen all the parts that you want for your build, it will tell you whether or not they are all compatible together, as there are certain parts that won't go together. So it will assist you in figuring out whether will my CPU work with my motherboard, or will my graphics processor fit into my motherboard. It'll answer those questions for you. And also, it will, once you've put all your parts together, it will give you the power output. So it will tell you the wattage that you will need with your power supply unit in order to support the components of your build. It's a hugely useful website for building a PC, and it does so much of the hard work for you. On top of that, Reddit.com has a pretty lively community called the subreddit Build a PC, and you can find it at reddit.com/buildapc. Basically, it's a pretty large community of people who are experienced in technology and building personal computers. And you can essentially post on that subreddit what you want to get out of your build, what your budget is, what you're using your build for, and they will create a table for you with all the recommended parts that they think will fit your needs best. And they will give you a completely suggested build that you can then take and research for yourself and figure out if it fits your needs. So essentially, building a PC has never been easier. There's so much information online and tons of helpful communities that will assist you in figuring out what you need. In addition, if you don't want to build your own PC, there are pre-built PCs online as well. Now, there is a premium that you pay, as they are already put together, that's pretty hefty. So in the end, building your own is cheaper. However, if you want the convenience of having it already made, then you can absolutely do that. In addition, you can also, once you've ordered all your parts for your PC, you can take them to a computer hardware store, and you can usually pay the people at the store to build it for you. So there are installation services in case you've never had any experience building a PC and you don't feel comfortable trying it for the first time on your own. So there are tons of ways to jump into the PC market. It's never been easier than it is now. So in the end, you really have to think about what you want. Building a PC might not be for everyone. Consoles offer a quick and convenient way to plug in and play. You purchase an Xbox One or a PS4, you can take it home, you can plug it into your TV, and boom, you're online, you're playing games. It's as easy as that. And there are certainly benefits to that. The information is all there, and you have to decide what will fit your needs best. So the next time you consider purchasing the newest and best console on the market, consider your other options first, as they just might lead you to an even greater experience. Thank you for your time, and I hope I've given you some information as to why, objectively, building a PC is a better experience than purchasing a console. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good one.